So good morning, Amo. Thank you for having us.
Morning.
So you bravely agreed to let us follow you with the cameras today to get an insight into your day. How are you feeling about the day ahead?
A little bit anxious, but I think a lot of people have said they're interested in what I do during the day, particularly my family, who don't think I do any work. But I have a varied number of roles throughout the day, so you may capture some of that, and hopefully, people may be interested in what goes on in my daily life.
Well, we're looking forward to following you. Tell us, what have you got planned for us today?
So today is a typical Tuesday. I start with a cup of coffee at the office. That's my first thing. Nothing happens without that coffee. And then we've got a heads of service meeting. 4 or 5 heads are getting together where I speak to each and every one about the last week and what we've got planned for the next week. And then we're over to the Enable Centre, one of our other sites, which is a day service, independent life skills for disabled people. I do a weekly visit to them, so I'm spending about half an hour there. And then back over to head office on Pride Park with another meeting. I'm afraid there's a lot of meetings. And then the end of the day, we're over in my ward as a counsellor, in my other role, counsellor for Blade Greaves. And so we'll be meeting 1 or 2 of the residents. I've got people who already rang me up saying, can you help us with 1 or 2 things? So I thought, well, okay, we'll pop out there today. And then we've got a little bit of leafleting to do, and hopefully finish off with a quick chat with one of the ward members. And that should do for the whole day.
Well, it looks like we've got an interesting day ahead, and we're getting to see Amo wearing different hats then today. The politician, the director of a charity, and Amo the person. Is there any of those that you're more nervous about us coming to get a little insight into?
No, anything could happen with any of them. I've not really, obviously the staff at DD know that there's this going on today, but it's all freestyle, so anything could happen today.
That's what we like. Well, we're looking forward to the day ahead. Thank you for letting us follow you.
Not a problem.
So now in your CEO office at Disability Direct, tell us about your morning routine as you arrive for work.
So normally I'll sit in here for 5 minutes, make myself a cup of coffee. That's the important thing. Cup of coffee, that gets me through the day. I only have 1 for the whole day. Otherwise I'm awake all night. And I'll sit there and I'll just think about what's going on during the day. A lot of the time staff do come in and out. And I'll normally go and annoy the girls in the office and just sit with them for 5 minutes, have a bit of banter, or somewhere else if they're busy. It just gets the old the grey matter going kind of thing. Just talking to them, see what they've got planned for the day, and then that's it. I just come back in here. This goes on. And I run the world from this place.
You run the world from this laptop right
From this laptop right now, yeah. So.
And is that quiet time at the start of the day important to you?
It's really important. I like quiet time at the start of the day and at the end of the day. That's really important to me. There's nothing worse for me than starting the day too busy, because then I've just not had time to get my bearings again. I'm getting older now. I need time to just warm up, if you know what I mean, and to cool down at the end of the day. So yeah, that's really important to me.
Yeah. It helps start the day before the whirlwind starts then.
Absolutely, and normally people are in and out this office. They probably won't come in today because we're filming, but they normally are in and out of this office with their own little things that they want to talk about. So yeah, I have to be on alert, on standby all the time. But as I say, for me, this is my sanctuary, this office.
That's a lovely way of describing your sanctuary. It's important. Well, you're a very busy person juggling all the roles you do. And as we're reflecting at this beginning part of your day, reflecting back, you've obviously just celebrated your 25-year anniversary here at DD, haven't you? Tell us how it all began.
You know, March the 11th, 1994, I joined Disability Direct as a volunteer. I was in a very dark place in my life. I'd been unemployed for a while. I was in deep depression, felt that I was worthless, didn't have anything to offer. And someone said to me, you know, Disability Direct has just started as a charity. Do you want to go and volunteer for them? And it wasn't that easy. I did kind of arm wrestle with my own self. Do I want to work with I'm a disabled person. Do I want to work with other disabled people? You know, and I thought, you know, so it took a little bit of soul searching, but I made the right choice. I went and did some voluntary work, and a month later got a part-time job here as well as an information assistant. Then worked my way up slowly. It's a strange story, if I'm entirely honest with you. I'd all through my childhood and early adult life, I'd not mixed with other disabled people. So coming here was eye-opening, seeing disabled people who were visibly more physically disabled than I, and had a lot more challenges in life than I had had. But that was, for me, a challenge in itself, that I wanted to learn their story, learn their difficulties. And I don't know whether it's fate, destiny, whatever. Some things happened here which I kind of moved up the ladder and ended up running the place in 1998. I've been CEO since '98, but yes, so 25 years I've been here, and it's strange. My children were that big when I started. And now they're all married and doing their own thing, and it's a strange journey, but thoroughly rewarding.
It's a good story from starting off as a volunteer to show others that the career progression and the options that are possible. What do you think helped you to make that transition to achieve those promotions and work your way up to being the CEO?
I think learning from a lot about myself during that time was important to me. Recognising that I am a disabled person. There was some, I wouldn't say denial, but there was some kind of part of me that wasn't accepting my own disability. And you won't believe this, it was only when I started working here that I realised, and I actually questioned, well, what is actually my disability? And it's only then I realised I've got cerebral palsy, when I did a bit of research into it. So, you know, I went through a whole 25 years of my life from birth to that day, not understanding myself. So when I started working here, I started questioning myself and realising that there is something I've got, some journey that I've taken that I can share with others, and my experiences can help others. So yeah, it was something I felt, this is my strength. What I used to think was a weakness is actually my strength. Disability, it may sound strange to some people, my disability was my strength. So I turned that around on its head and basically and used it to my advantage, in that I will help other people with similar with issues that they're struggling with. And it's been my mission since that day to bring in services for disabled people. And you know, I had a couple of good mentors, my predecessors here, who they taught me the ropes. So it's not totally off mine. I have been here since day one, absolutely, but I did learn from others.
That's so important.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
It's an interesting journey you mentioned, from going from a position where you didn't really identify particularly as a disabled person to now being a very vocal, visible advocate around disability rights. What do you think back then were the reasons why maybe you didn't particularly identify as a disabled person? I
think quite rightly, my parents fought for me to go into mainstream education. And I think that was a positive thing for me, because I mixed in the real world. In mainstream society, and so I didn't identify with other disabled people. All my friends going through school and early adult life weren't disabled people, So, it wasn't a subject that we covered as friends. It wasn't a subject that was on my mind. I did things in my early life that, a lot of people, not a non-disabled people, wouldn't do. Yeah. I'd lived quite an interesting life up until then. So, I didn't see disability. I just didn't see it. It was just, I don't know, it sounds strange. And it wasn't denial. It wasn't being embarrassed. It wasn't being ashamed. I just didn't see it myself. I had some bullying at school, which I kind of mentally blocked out. And it's strange. It's only the last 2 or 3 years I've started talking about that. But that helped me. It shaped the person I am today. Sounds strange again. That had an impact on me, which I again used to my advantage. That I've now started talking about it because I think other people would benefit from knowing that story.
Yeah. So. You mentioned the role of mentors and the fact that you see that importance for you to talk about your experiences to help others. Did you have any role models or heroes you looked up to growing up who were disabled in particular? Not
disabled people, no. As I say, I just didn't see. In those days, in the 70s and 80s, growing up as a child and a teenager, there weren't many disabled people in prominent roles in TV or in society. So, there was just nobody I could identify with. I think it's important now because the world of disability hasn't changed that much, if I'm entirely honest with you. The challenges are still there, the discrimination, the harassment, everything's still there. I just think now is a great time because there are some prominent disabled people in media, in entertainment, and in high-profile roles, whether it's at a local level or national level. There are people doing some great things, and if they could be seen as role models or even take up mentoring roles, I think that would have a massive positive impact on disabled people and the next generation.
You mentioned that increasingly you want to speak of these experiences because, as you say, having disabled people in positions of leadership and being visible and vocal and sharing these things can help others. But how does it feel for you? Because obviously you've got all these different hats you wear as politician, CEO. How does it feel when you talk simply about yourself as a human experience and share the ups and the downs of your story?
It comes quite natural to me now. If somebody starts saying to me, tell me a story, I got no problem. It's my favourite subject, me. So I can talk about it. And sometimes people are taken aback by the journey I've had. But to me, I just went through it as a person. It was, there were challenges, there were ups and there were severe downs. I went through, bouts of depression. But I think stories should be shared. They should be told. And if it's going to benefit at least one other person, then it's, my life, the journey that I've taken, my experience isn't wasted. Somebody is going to learn from it. And I do get it. People do say to me, I remember being at the Derby Children's Hospital. I was doing a speech, and parents of disabled children came up to me, 2 sets of parents. They said, "Oh, we've seen you in the paper, and it's really good that you're doing what you're doing. It's given us hope that our child has not been written off, that they can achieve things." And to me, that's really important. The more parents see other disabled people doing stuff, it gives them hope that their child has got a future. Because society is very quick to write it off or pigeonhole that disabled child, and I don't want that to happen.
So, is it important to you that you're making a difference?
Yeah, myself, and there are other people now. There are other disabled people who work here in this very building and in the networks that I have locally and nationally, who are doing something similar, and they're actually got their own little story that they're sharing on their own levels. And I think the more of that happens, the more society will benefit from that.
Definitely. You mentioned some of the challenging times, whether it's depression or overcoming barriers or discrimination. What tips would you share to other people about things that help you get through those moments and overcome those challenges?
The first thing I will always say is take a deep breath. When you know you're being discriminated, harassed, mocked, or whatever, or if you're going through that patch, take a deep breath. And sometimes it's easy for people to give you advice. Come on, you'll get through this. There's light at the end of the tunnel. Those are important things to hear, but they are not the solution. A lot of the time people have to go through that little journey themselves, and they will feel down. And as long as somebody is around them, just to watch them, for me I had my family, and as long as somebody is there today to say it's going to be fine, just keep one day at a time. And before you realise it, you know, you are coming out of the darkness, and you know, you are coming out of that patch, and you will end up finding a strength. It may not be the strength that you're used to. It'll be something else. You know, I've had quite a varied early life. I used to sing in a band, which was a real high for me at that time. I've toured. I've worked for the civil service. I've done things which I will always bank in my head and use that to my advantage as in my experience in advising others. So for me, all I will say to somebody else is, if you're going through that, look at your positives and build on those. And yes, I know they may be hidden within that darkness that you're going through, but those positives will start to shine, and they are your strength. And look, I'd say I do some motivational speaking sometimes to groups, and one of the things I always say is keep looking in the mirror, not at your physical experience, your physical appearance, but what does someone else see when they look at you, and someone else will look at your positives. They will see things that you can't see, and that's what you've got to focus on.
That's a great piece of advice, to draw on those positives and remember all those achievements even in those challenging times. Yeah. So we talked about drawing on the strengths and the good times. I wonder, along the way of all these years of working in Disability Direct, what have been some of the mistakes along the way that have been useful learning points as well? Yes,
there have been mistakes. The biggest mistake I've made, and my board of trustees will probably agree with me on this, there came a point where my ego took the best of me, got the better of me, and I felt we could conquer the world. I felt that I'm ready to take on everyone. For example, 2011, we had just under 100 staff because we were doing everything, doing some fantastic things. And before I realised it, I thought, can't sustain this. Funding's about to get chopped, and you know, and we are now at a stage where we're down to about 45 staff, which is still a fair amount, but I took a step back and realised, Amo, you can't run the world from this laptop. The world doesn't want to be run by you. So I accepted that it's better to work in partnership with organisations rather than try and do everything. So now one of the things I do now, and I've learned from that mistake, is I say, well, what do you guys do? Great, maybe you can plug into what we're doing here, and vice versa, and that way. And then I think that's a better way. You know, power got to my head a little bit, and I'm the first to admit it.
So that ambition just needed some boundaries.
Yeah, and quite rightly, my board of trustees, they rein me in, and I'm pleased that they do, because that's what they're there for. They say, hang on, you can't do that, or why are you doing that? And in all honesty, I like a board of trustees that will challenge me, and we've got that. They're not just a lot of organisations do have a boards that will just sit and nod at the chief exec. I want a board that will say, why? What do you mean? How much is that going to cost? I need that. I've also got a finance director that doesn't let me spend any money, so they, from both ends, I've kept in line.
That's good. Yeah. So we're shortly going to meet you getting together with your team. How would you describe your leadership style with your team?
My leadership style is something I've worked on. I am, depending on which situation, I can be authoritarian if I want my way. But 99% of the time, I'm going to be honest with you, I let them get on with it. The reason that they are employed as managers is because they know more than I do of their subject. There's no point me employing people who don't know as much as me. I need people who know more than me about that subject, and they're the experts. And a lot of it's just me guiding them. And one of my famous things that I do with my managers, the manager will come in here and say, I've got this problem. How do I do this? And I just turn it on its head and say, well, what would you do? What would you do about that? Again, 9 times out of 10 they'll be coming up with the right answer. So I'll say, we'll go and do it.
It's guiding,
it's guiding them and just making them realise, hang on, and then there's some ownership with it as well. They'll, because it's their idea and they're seeing it through, I let them get on with it. I very rarely interfere. It's not my style. I just, like I say, there are CEOs that will do that, but not me. I'd say, you guys get on with it. I'm here to watch over. I'm here to see. If I can see something's about to go wrong, I will intervene. But 9 times out of 10, they know what they're doing.
So we've described your leadership style. If I ask your team to describe what's Amo's leadership style, what words do you think they'd come up with?
I don't know. Hitler. No, they'll probably. I don't know. I'll be interesting to hear that myself. I'd kind of let them get on with it. We're like a family here. I'm going to be honest with you. I've been here, say, for 25 years, and I've had people come and go. The bulk of staff do stay with us for a while. The average time that somebody will have stayed with us is between 5 and 10 years. So, for someone to commit that period of their life to an organisation, they've got to enjoy it. And we don't pay very well here, so there's a passion. People come here because they actually want to make a difference. So yeah, I think I'll try and create an atmosphere. As I say, I'll go in there and have a bit of banter with them, and they'll take the Michael out of me every now and then. I don't mind. They always, especially in the girls in the office, they comment on what I'm wearing. If they don't like something, they'll tell me, "Don't like that, Amo, change that."
Do you get some brutal feedback?
I get some very brutal feedback. Yeah. The thing is, they all know my wife as well, so that she'll tell them, and vice versa. They kind of share what I should be wearing or what I shouldn't be wearing. It's strange. So it's interesting. I like it. They want to come to work. The last thing I want is a staff member to wake up in the morning and think,